Hi there, Laura Wolfson from Goldstar Work here. Today we're going to do a little bit of a tutorial on how to paint trees. This is going to be fairly basic but important to take note of. So I'm not going to do a particular tree. I just thought while I was talking you'd rather look at a tree than a blank piece of paper. So there's a few things that you need to keep in mind when you are painting trees. Now most of the time when beginner painters start to paint a tree, they'll get some brown to the trunk, and then they either go one of two ways. They either just get a blob of green and blob it all around like this, or they'll do their trunk and then very carefully try and put in every single little leaf. In my experience, that's how beginner painters often start. And I just wanted to give you a few tips to think about when you're doing trees. So, first thing is observation. You've got to have a look at the tree that you're drawing. And most trees will be skinnier at the top of the trunk than at the bottom of the trunk. So right off the bat, that looks more realistic than just a straight line. Next thing you have to think about is what type of tree that you're actually painting. Does it have lots of branches coming up from the bottom? Or is it a tree that has a single trunk? Because that all affects how the shape of the tree goes. Take into account, does the tree have a central base where the tree goes right up and then branches out from there? Whereas this tree doesn't have much of a main trunk. It's got lots of different trunks coming out of it. The branches have no discernible pattern coming out from them, and the leaves droop down. And these gum trees also have very pale bark, long tall branches, and not that many of them, and then all the leaves are right up the top and kind of, I don't know whether you'll be able to see that, in little bunches. You can see where this one's been trimmed, so it's got a split base. These ones all along here have been, so all the branches come out of the bottom there and then travel up. And some trees have their branches really close together along the tree trunk, so they're really densely packed, and others are more sparsely packed. So the other thing to think about is how is the tree structured. So say if it is a single trunk tree like this, how do the branches come out of the tree? Do they come out all around in the same place? So these birch trees have a single trunk going up, and then their foliage comes out in bunches along the trunk, so you can see some here, and then there's some there. Like this. Or do they come out opposite on the tree, like this? So this will all affect the way you draw the tree. So that's why I say observation is really important. You need to look at the tree or the type of tree that you want to paint. So this tree, it's another gum tree, and you can see how the branches come out one side, and then further up comes out on the other side, and then further up comes out, the branch comes out on the other side. So they're alternating sides in different places, unlike the other tree I showed you. And then go from there. So even if you're making up a tree out of your imagination, like this little heart tree here, I've still thought about how I think the structure of the tree will go, because I've done a single trunk here, and then I've decided that the branches are all coming up this way. And that's the other thing to think about. Some trees get some more paint on the brush. So some trees, their branches will actually come down. Like some of the pine type trees, their branches will go down, and some of them will go up. So it's important to note which way what your tree that you're trying to do actually goes for a believable tree. Here's a good example here of, this is a pine tree, this one here, and the branches are going up towards the sky, and all the little leaves, needle leaves, are all pointing upwards. And then this one next to it, which is a different type, the branches go down, and all the leaves, little pine needly leaves, droop down as well. So you can see in this example that it has a single trunk going up, and the leaves are going down, and the branches going down a little bit. Whereas in this one up here, if I can get my camera high enough, again it's got a single trunk going up, and then it's a very tightly packed tree, and the branches are more spraying out but up. Whereas this one has got lots of branches coming from the bottom of the trunk there, and very sparse leaves. And the other thing to note is which way the leaves go. So if you're doing a tree that the branches go down, look at the actual tree and see, do the leaves also go down? Or do the leaves go up? So So these are all important to note when you're doing a tree. And so for instance, this painting has got two different trees in it. It's got the poplar trees, which have got lots of branches that go up, and they start off thick at the bottom and go pointy at the top. Whereas this one here, this fir tree, has got very wriggly branches and they go down, and the leaves will go down as well. Even if you come across one of these lollipop trees, and there's a photo here. This is as close as we've got around here to like a lollipop tree, which people often end up drawing. But even though it looks like a blob on top of a tree, if you look at it more closely, it has a central trunk, and the branches are facing downwards and the leaves are all facing downwards. And if you look up the top, you can see all the interesting patterns that the branches make, so you can get an idea of how to structure your tree. Even if you're doing like one of those little lollipop trees, and this is the closest I could find to a lollipop tree around where we are, it is important to note the structure of the tree. In this particular one, the leaves and the branches are all facing down. I'm just using a little fan brush. You might get the odd one at the top that looks a bit like it's going up more, but generally they're all going down. So have a look carefully at your tree before you draw it, before you paint it, and make sure you know the basic structure of that tree. And of course there are other things to think about in terms of light and shadow, which way the light's going on the tree. So a tree won't be all even in colour like this one here. That'll have, where the sun's shining on it, it'll be lighter, and there'll be parts through the trees that are lighter, and it'll be casting shadow on the tree. One side of your trunk will be darker and one side will be lighter and things. But I just wanted to talk about the structure of the trees. So if you want to make believable trees, even believable fantasy trees, think about the structure of the branches and what they look like and how the tree grows, and then you will get a much more believable tree. So that's a nice short little video today, and I will see you next time. Happy painting everyone. Bye.